Anfield has been reverberating to the sound of fighting talk from Graham Souness as the FA Cup favourites try to absorb the latest bad news on their injury front. The absence of Ian Rush means that Steve McManaman will play up front with Dean Saunders, Mark Walters coming in on the left-hand side, Rush joining Barnes, Whelan, Thomas and Tanner on the treatment table. But on the bright side, Rob Jones has quickly recovered from his Wembley injury, and Steve Nicol and Jan Molby are also available again. Steve Harkness stands in at left-back for the suspended David Burrows.
We can't put up a normal 4-4-2 formation, but don't you believe it, Liverpool players have the freedom within that framework to go anywhere they like, play anywhere they like, and I expect them to do that tonight.
Well, Ipswich have a luxury not afforded to Liverpool this season. The same team for the 8th game in a row. John Walk was worried he wouldn't be able to return to Anfield because of a back problem. Ipswich, understandably, are taking a chance on the man of the match from the first meeting. There is one change from that game. It's on the bench, where Paul Goddard is preferred to David Lowe.
John Lowe will also send out his team in a 4-4-2 formation. Big onus on the top two, Jason Dazelle and Chris Kowomya. 27 goals between them this year. But watch for number 8, Steve Palmer. I think he's got a marking job on Jan Molby tonight.
Alf Bucksh is the referee, as he was at Portman Road on that Sunday 10 days ago, where the match was ruined by the wind, but the conditions excellent tonight. Rob Jones has now sampled Wembley for his country. Will the fairy tale of his first season with Liverpool end with another visit in the FA Cup final? John Walk has been there with Ipswich back in 1978, and he was a winner against Arsenal. I don't know whether it's psychology, but in the Liverpool programme tonight, they spelt his name W-A-L-K, that sort of walk. I don't think he was too impressed by that. That's one name they should have got right.
That's a reference to his age, Martin, not his name.
When the wind was howling around at Portman Road, Bruce Grobbelaar gave an exceptional display of goalkeeping. And he had the opportunity to meet again a young man who stood alongside him, the goalkeeper tonight for Ipswich. They were goalkeeper and fan together in Vancouver. And it was a big thrill for Forrest to meet up with Grobbelaar again in the first match. They both had clean sheets, although it was Ipswich who came closer to scoring, twice hitting the frame of the Liverpool goal through John Walk and through a strange effort towards his own goal by Ray Houghton. Ipswich still looking for the right formula then to produce a win at Anfield. 29 games here and not one victory to show for the efforts of some talented teams in the past. Well, this side is in second place in the second division. They'll have read detailed reports of Liverpool's lapse in East Anglia on Saturday, losing 3-0 at Norwich. But John Lyle, who jousted with the Reds so often in the past with West Ham, has warned his Ipswich side that, like a wounded animal, Liverpool are most dangerous when they've just been hurt. Steve Harkness with a throw. Stockwell. Palmer is number 8. Dazelle. Palmer again. And it was Milton. Grobbelaar's come right out here and done it decisively, but he might well be annoyed at the way Ipswich were starting to tip-tap their way through then.
Well, Mike Stockwell, who's set out at right back, found himself in a brilliant position, and only the pace of the ball along this very slick surface stopped him being in on Bruce Grobbelaar.
Foul by Wright on Kiwomya.
I think if ever there's a time that Ipswich will feel that they can come here and take the game to Liverpool. Normally teams come here, Martin, and are very wary early on, try and say, let's keep it clean sheet, let's keep it tight for 20 minutes and see how it goes. But Ipswich, after that 3-0 defeat that Liverpool suffered at the weekend, Ipswich will be here saying, John Lennon, I'm sure, saying, if we get the chance, if we get the ball, let's get it forward.
Well, walks come in, Linnigan as well, and it came off right, and finally off Steve Whitten, behind for a goal kick. Since the first match, Liverpool have slipped to 5th in the First Division. Walters. Foul by Whitten. Ipswich did play on Merseyside last Friday, just through the tunnel from here at Tranmere, and won by a 0-0, which is particularly pleasing in any circumstances, but with this match hard on the heels of that, they feel they might have won a psychological point or two. Harkness. Now Nicol. Houghton was just trying to glance it infield to Saunders or McManaman.
Type of run that he's very good at though, Ray Houghton. The way he lines up on that right side, he's always prepared to make that diagonal run into the danger area.
Kiwomya. Thompson to take the free kick. He likes to switch the play, perhaps not quite what he had in mind then, as Jason Dezelle was making himself available on this near side, but the ball came veering well behind him. Saunders misjudged. Walk, who missed little at Portman Road, really did have a splendid game and very nearly scored with a header that cracked against Grobbelaar's crossbar just before half-time. Gavin Johnson also had a chance in the first match. Ipswich certainly had the edge. Kiwomya, and Wright was there first. Mark Wright now back in the England scene, of course, and finding, sure to his surprise, that Rob Jones was in the team last week against France as well. Jones actually picked up an injury that he attributed to wearing new boots for the England game and missed out at Norwich as Liverpool had to piece together a side on Saturday. The First Division not their main priority, one senses at the moment, although Graham Souness would never admit to that, of course.
That's for sure, and until it's mathematically impossible for Liverpool to win the league, there's no way Graham Souness's players will ever dream of giving that up.
Liverpool, of course, still have the FA Cup and the UEFA Cup, with their 2 games with Genoa coming up. Whitten. They're filling in the sandwich between Harkness and Walters. Well, Graham Souness is calling his men to stand up and be counted, and not to feel that somebody has run over a black cat here or gone under too many ladders. Things have gone wrong on the injury side of things so often. Are they going to go wrong on the field here? Stockwell! And Grobbelaar kept his shape there and was strong enough to deal with it by the near post, as it was really belted towards goal by Stockwell.
Well, that's twice that Stockwell has got himself in a position totally unmarked in Liverpool's penalty area. Just pulls away there, he's totally unmarked. Chris Grobbelaar does well to beat it away.
Linnigan waiting by the near post. Walk was coming in. Grobbelaar has to watch it go behind. Steve Nicol dealing with the danger with a great deal of difficulty.
It is difficult to mark John Ward. He starts so far out. You see him at the edge of the 18-yard line there. That's what he starts his run for. And when you pick up pace and are attacking a ball like that, it's very difficult to mark.
And that was Mulby who got his head to it. Walters checking back in there. And Thompson would have preferred that to drop onto his left foot. But no sign of inhibitions here from Ipswich Town.
They've got a great little tactic, Martin, when they get free kicks about them halfway on this right-hand side. Steve Whitten being all of 6 foot plus, and against Steve Harkness, who really hasn't got that much height, what they do is try and isolate Steve Whitten against Harkness and play the ball straight above him. And that's exactly what happened in that situation that they got the chance from.
McManaman. Walters. Caught it and was straight away looking to use the ball until he realised that there was nothing on for him. Dazelle. Kiwomya. And too far in front of Gavin Johnson. Well, Jason Dazelle actually given instructions by John Lyall to operate in the opening 20 minutes a little behind Chris Kiwomya. But because Ipswich have had a good share of the ball, he's actually been able to ignore those instructions. It was designed perhaps to try and take the steam out of a fast Liverpool start that Ipswich might have expected, but they haven't allowed that to happen.
And the other thing we thought would happen, that was Steve Palmer being very tight on Jan Molby, is exactly right. Palmer's got himself as close to Molby every time Ipswich have lost the ball as he can, and it's been noticeable that he's had very little of the ball early on, Jan Molby.
Just biting his nails there, Kenneth Dalgleish, Esquire.
One of the few times, I suppose, he's been at Anfield in recent years and been able to relax and watch a game.
He didn't look very relaxed, did he? He's probably still wondering about that defeat of Blackburn last night at Cambridge.
Well, he won't be happy about that, that's for sure.
Here's Walk. Just too long for Dazelle. Well, Liverpool have played Port Vale and Stoke and Bristol Rovers and had problems in the first match this season. Come through well the second time. Well, John Walk, who began at that level of the FA Cup, that was his debut as a central defender, as he is tonight. He won't even like this to be described as the twilight of his career. Walters getting the better of Stockwell. Oh, Forrest, I'm not sure he was in the best position there. He might have been badly stranded if McManaman had made contact in front of him. Here's Harkness. Houghton. Saunders trying to get away behind Thompson. The ball didn't come that way. Kiwomya. Whitten, Dazelle making a move ahead of him. And Thompson coming in to try and unsettle the Liverpool marking.
Well, this is a tremendous ball from Steve Whitten. Look at the curl on that. And as Thompson comes in, Rob Jones does a good job and just putting him off enough. But I actually thought Steve McManaman at the other end had the better chance. Just for a second I thought he was just getting in ahead of the goalkeeper just to nod into the empty net. Not too sure whether the young lad was unsighted or whether it just took a deflection to take it away from him.
10 minutes gone in this fifth round replay in the FA Cup. 0-0 in terrible conditions at Portman Road, which took a lot of the skill of both sides. Walk conceding the corner. Oh, and Ipswich caught a little napping here by the short one. McManaman losing out to Milton. Well, here's Kiwomya. 4 Liverpool players around him. And the odds were overwhelmingly against Chris Kiwomya then.
Yeah, he just wanted to check on it a little bit, try and hold it up, give some of his teammates a chance to come and join him.
Well, you can see the Kop crammed to capacity, which can be so intimidating to the opposition, but Ipswich are handling it well. But there's a long way to go. Great tackle by Gavin Johnson. Gazelle inside him. Here he is. Oh, that wasn't the time to lose his balance. Marsh. McManaman has given it back to Johnson. He's found Milton. Kiwomya allowed to turn. Oh, and there was a chance then of being more direct for Chris Kiwomya.
I think you're spot on there, Martin. Chris Kiwomya with 15 goals already this season, you would have expected him to have driven into the danger, drive into the box. He knows the chance of getting a penalty where somebody's going to tackle him. Better chance of doing that. Surprised they chose the option of passing.
Well, maybe that's the first sign of being intimidated by playing at Liverpool. Perhaps in a week-in, week-out second division game, he would have gone for goal.
I don't know about being intimidated, but it's been a brilliant 10 minutes for them. Ipswich have taken the game. They've been very, very positive, very confident, and have really unsettled Liverpool at the moment. The passing's been better, they've kept the ball, and it's only in the last third that it's really let them down.
Well, Jan Molby was perhaps the least likely of the three who've come back tonight. Jones and Nicol, the others, to be fit. They're still concerned about his knee problem, but really Liverpool feeling that he was needed, and they were going to take a gamble on his fitness. He's up there now in support of Jones. So too is Mike Marsh, the number 6. Jones again. Saunders. McManaman trying to get in, and Walters coming behind him on Saunders' flick. Molby. Oh, it ran a little unluckily for Stockwell. And Liverpool have the throw. Steve Harkness, who did play league football at Carlisle briefly before Liverpool snapped him up. Now an England youth international. McManaman, Walters. And Gazelle recognising that that was the right thing to do in the circumstances.
It's a good little tip that for kids watching. The big high cup tie like this, a lot of pressure. There are times when the best place for the ball is in the stand early on in a game.
Houghton and the walk giving Forrest plenty to do then, but he used his reach. 6'5" tall, Craig Forrest. Stabbed back by Walk, a little too abruptly it seemed first up, but Forrest had the answer. Came off Harkness. Whitten. Gavin Johnson's made a run in from the left of midfield to the far post. Maybe that was in the thinking for a deep cross then. There he is, one of Ipswich's local products. Still an Ipswich ball. They've won 6 of their last 7. The only game they didn't win was against Liverpool, of course. Well, we have to have a result here tonight, and of course the same applies in the second part of our double feature. West Ham United against Sunderland. Extensive and extended highlights coming up once this game is finished at Anfield. Palmer's header. Kiwomya maybe tried to play it, but it's run on kindly for Gavin Johnson. And I think the referee wondered about that. Mark Wright with something of a hand-off on Gavin Johnson then.
Yeah, referee did have a little look, Martin, but I think perfectly right. Mark Wright had just watched him very, very well, and Gavin Johnson just overran it a little bit. Mark Wright just stepped in and tidied it up. But that again is what you should do. If you've got Ray Houghton on the right side and you're playing against him, if you want to nullify him a bit, then you get him running towards his own goal. At the moment, that's what Gavin Johnson's doing.
Guided on by Whitten, that point you made about his height and his usefulness in the air on the right-hand side. And how pleased Liverpool are to have Steve Nicol available again. Mulby, and now Harkness. Nudged infield by Saunders. And the only worry for Linnigan there was the sharpness of his turn. He might have slipped. Running was Dazelle. And here's Thompson. Dazelle, stylishly constructed again by Ipswich. Thompson. And Palmer. Well, Ipswich brimming with confidence.
I'll tell you what, the type of football that we would associate with a John Lyall side, isn't it? This is the end of the move. The shot really doesn't do the move justice. All started with a magnificent 40-yard ball from David Linnigan to a running Jason Dazelle in behind Rob Jones.
Here's Jones. Now Houghton. Johnson helping out in the centre of midfield at the moment. He'll have to go again here. Kiwomya outmanoeuvred by Nicol. Palmer trying to press Mulby. And Milton was the beneficiary of that. Dazelle looking for help from behind. Thompson's done a lot of forward running, and on that occasion was just drawing a bit of breath. Well, Steve McManaman was superb in the replay against Bristol Rovers here in the fourth round. Really turned it round for Liverpool, and you can sense the anticipation now from the Liverpool supporters every time he gets possession with a chance to run at the opposition.
It's an unfortunate thing for the young lad, isn't it? When you set yourself such high standards, the supporters are looking for that every time he gets it. There's that tactic again from the goalkeeper, looking for Steve Whitten to just help the ball on in this right side.
And Kiwomya's got the better of Harkness. Nicol had to be nippy again for Liverpool. Saunders. Stockwell in the way. Ipswich, every player wanting the ball and giving Liverpool some heartache here. It's Stockwell again. Oh, Dazelle was actually challenged by Rob Jones enough to put him off. And here's McManaman stretching those talented legs again. But prior to that, hats off again to Ipswich Town.
I'll tell you what, Martin, at this time, if you'd swap shirts round and put the Ipswich team in red shirts, you really would think you were watching Liverpool. The way they've slicked the ball about at times has been quite superb. And that move we've just seen, typical of it.
Here's Jones. Foot raised by Rob Jones. Free kick to Ipswich. Right. Now Marsh. Well, you could see what was in Ray Houghton's mind as Saunders set off. But Ipswich, as well as playing some very pleasing football, have defended well and do again through walk. Who's still playing for a proper contract, having been really rescued from the scrap heap by Ipswich after he was released by Middlesbrough at the end of last season. Actually played some games at the start of this season for Ipswich's reserve team without any payment at all, just to help out. Jones. Milton who won it back. Kiwomya attacking Mark Wright, Dazelle alongside him, Whitten coming up as well, and Johnson on the other side. Chris Kiwomya hasn't quite got his angles right yet.
He'll be disappointed so far, Martin. He's found himself in about 3 or 4 brilliant situations when he's just had to roll a player in, and his pass has been very, very poor.
And let's have a chance now to look at the quality of Ipswich's play again here, Andy.
Yes, again, it's Mick Stockwell that gets himself in there. But look at Rob Jones. That's brilliant defender from the young lad to get in and thwart what possibly would have been a certain goal for him.
Rob Jones, who has football in the family, of course, and on Saturday, when Liverpool play Southampton here, his grandfather Bill, who also played for England, played for Liverpool in the 1950 FA Cup final, is actually coming along to watch Rob play at Anfield for the first time in the flesh. It really has been one of the most romantic stories of the season, but Ipswich blessed with a touch of romance tonight themselves. Really coming here to take Liverpool on, but being challenged by Walters, whose trickery, of course, is something they must be concerned about. Mulvey. Jones there before Johnson, who's pulled up. He didn't actually make any contact with either Rob Jones or the ball, and it's as though his left ankle is troubling him. Came off Witten's head, but only fell well for Liverpool. Walk, though, down to Stockwell. Linegan, the younger brother of Andy of Arsenal. Carlton, Marsh to the right. Mike Marsh is in for Liverpool here. And Craig Forrest has kept it at 0-0. Very well indeed.
Yeah, David Linegan almost pays a penalty for overplaying. Mike Marsh finds himself, tries to drill it near post. The goalkeeper gets his angles right and just gets the finest of touches to it. I was just about to say, Martin, before that the one thing that would worry me if I was John Lair would be the fact that his team have had a great 20-minute spell, but the one thing they haven't done is score a goal. Now, when you're in top of it, Liverpool like that, you have to score, otherwise you can be punished.
Gavin Johnson having treatment before the corner can be taken. It gives us a chance to check up with what's happening down by the dugouts with David Livingston.
The question down here, Martin, is will the voice of Graham Souness last the 90 minutes? He's been hitting the high decibels so far. He's a bit happier now after that last attack, but he wasn't happy at the start, and several players were told in no uncertain terms to waken up, and one of them was Steve McManaman.
So Johnson is okay for the moment, although I suspect he's still feeling that ankle problem. Ipswich will need everyone in full working order as they defend this corner. And another one to come, the ball flying behind off Simon Milton, who's one of the late entrants to the professional game and has this hunger to succeed because of it. Played part-time football when he was working in the Suffolk area as a paint sprayer. And then here he is trying to spray the ball around, shall we say. Palmer heads it out only as far as Harkness. Here's Walters. Well, the linesman had his flag up, and the Ipswich fans finally made Alf Bucksh, the referee, look across. It's about 3,500 here from Suffolk, and they're very happy with the way the game has gone after 25 minutes, with just one reservation, that Ipswich, who have made chances, haven't taken one of them yet.
I'm just thinking about Graham Souness and what he would want. I'm sure there are three players in particular I'd love to see on the ball, and that's Ray Houghton, Jan Molby and Mark Walters on this left side. And what's happened is that Ipswich have managed to keep the ball away from these three from the greater part of this half so far. Certainly think Mark Walters has taken up some good positions. They really need to look to him to get the ball and really go at Mick Stockwell.
Came off Milton. Now Walters. Oh, and Milton very displeased with the referee, who's ruled that as he went in to challenge Walters then that the ball flew off Simon Milton. A corner is the decision. Liverpool have brought Mark Wright forward. Mulby lurking on the edge of the area. Walters to take it. Forrest was kept down there by Saunders. Both missed the ball, and there was no one coming in for Liverpool. I can't believe Dean Saunders would have got away with that, but...
Bit of David and Goliath there, wasn't it? David won again.
27 minutes gone. David Linnigan, the captain of Ipswich, looking for Whitten again. Dazelle unfairly turning Nicol. Here's Jones. Saunders not giving that one up, and by his chasing he's brought a corner for Liverpool. Once more they wait for Wright's arrival. And then play it short to Marsh. Helped on by McManaman, but that type of flick, unless it went straight to a teammate, was always likely to end up where it did, behind the goal for a goal kick.
Settled a little bit better now, Liverpool, though, starting to look to put some passes together. Looked very nervy. I mean, people at home would probably imagine it would be Ipswich would be coming here as a nervous team. It would be that way, and then Liverpool would be super confident in playing at home. Nothing like that. Liverpool are the ones, believe you me, Martin, that were under pressure at the beginning of this game tonight, and it looked that way a little bit. They now look to have settled a bit, Liverpool, looking to try and put passes together and starting to exert just a fraction more pressure on Ipswich.
Well, John Lyall, who was the manager of West Ham twice when they won the Cup, in 1980 as the last second division side to collect the trophy. But it is extraordinary in getting on for 15 years in charge of West Ham. He never had a win here, and Ipswich have never in their history been successful on this ground. Jones. It's Whitten's long ball, and Kiwomya recognising that Wright was there to deal with it before he could make up any ground. Kiwomya. Now Johnson. And Nicol plays it back to Grobbelaar. We've just hit a spell now, though, where Ipswich, understandably perhaps, haven't been able to quite maintain the gusto of their start. And Liverpool giving the first signs, really, of being able to assert themselves a little more in midfield, bellowed on from the sidelines by Graham Souness. Walters. And that was Milton who made sure that the central defenders weren't called upon. Whitten. Helped from behind by Stockwell. Jones. Well, Dean Saunders recognised quite rightly for his capacity to score goals, but when you watch him play regularly, he really does work the full width of the pitch to take a part in the build-up. Walters getting behind Whitten. Play on. Bucksh was only a few yards away from the incident. No complaints from Liverpool. Mulvey got the ball. Saunders. This time McManaman going for an earlier cross. Houghton trying to return it. Forrest had come a long way from home.
Well, Alf Bush certainly had a great view of this incident as it comes across, and Mark Walters takes it down brilliantly in one movement, and it's just a little bit, but watch this, he pokes it away. I'll tell you what, I think Mark Walters' reputation there probably robbed him. I think a lot of people think Mark goes looking for penalties. I certainly don't think he did in that situation, and it may be that his reputation has gone before him there. But this is more like the Liverpool we've come to expect, passing the ball, patient, people moving off the ball, good movement all round.
Throw from Jones. Here's Saunders. Walters is free on this near side, and Liverpool able to spot that. Jan Mulvey's in trouble now. He really hasn't been able to make an imprint on the game so far, but he was making an imprint of a different kind here.
I think it's just sheer frustration from Jan. See, he just swings a wild leg at it there. But Steve Palmer really has marked him very, very tightly. Could probably count in one hand the amount of touches Jan Mulvey's had. And if you're doing that, then certainly Liverpool won't be as effective.
Steve Palmer.
Sorry, Martin. He likes to play with the ball at his feet, Jan Mulvey, and he hasn't had it there today.
Palmer, a very talented all-round sportsman. He represented Cambridge University at football, of course, won 3 Blues, but also played one game of first-class cricket against Lancashire and got the wicket of Graham Fowler, which he's very proud of. That's Whitton. Well, it's something we've talked about throughout the first half, and Liverpool, although I'm sure they're aware of the threat, aren't handling it very well. Mulvey. Whitton working hard again. Well, Steve Whitton has made public his gratitude to Ipswich, who have stood by him at a difficult time in his life off the field. He's been sentenced to community service because of driving-related offences. Here's Thompson. But everybody playing their part for the second division team, who very much deserve here to be still level with Liverpool, with just over 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Mulvey. Well, Stockwell and Saunders were very close to each other then, and the outcome is a free kick to Liverpool.
It's a bit unlucky here. You see, they're both off balance there slightly, and I think their legs just get tangled up. Mick Stockwell's very unlucky to concede a free kick there.
And a quickly taken one, which leads to another Liverpool corner. Stockwell again, the defender involved. Once again, Liverpool consider playing the ball short, and that's what they've done. Forrest way above the rest. And Jones anticipated the throw just in time. Excellent defending again from him. Here's Nicol. Saunders getting the benefit against... Oh, Dazelle, it flicked off him a second time. Twice the ball's run badly for Ipswich off Jason Dazelle until it in the end ran behind for a goal kick. But without really playing particularly well, we're seeing more of Liverpool now.
Oh, definitely. They're exerting more and more pressure on the match. So one thing, you can be sure of, Mark, that if Ipswich need to try and find some pressure of their own, I don't think they will be able to go out, certainly the second half, and hoping to absorb all this pressure, because you do feel that Liverpool have enough individual talent at their disposal to open up this Ipswich defence at least one or two times more than they would punishment. So it's important for Ipswich that as an attacking force they exert some pressure on Liverpool.
Well, Milton left the ball then quite deliberately, but there wasn't a great reaction around him. Liverpool will attack the Kop, of course, in the second half. And their help, the supporters there, of course, is now in the realms of legend. And Liverpool, Graham Souness believes, needing all the help that they can get at this stage of what's been a very strange season for them. Mulvey caught out by Palmer, who's certainly winning that battle. Kiwomya, Dazelle, too tight. Houghton. Here's McManaman. Saunders in the centre. Oh, and Houghton. Well, with two passes then, Ipswich were opened up. But Ray Houghton roaring in, couldn't round it off.
Oh, he makes a great run. It's a run outside to inside from the right position. And he's got better quality than that, Ray Houghton, hasn't he? I think he knows he should have done better, doesn't he?
Of course, he started his professional career at West Ham, where the manager who in the end let him go was John Lyle. But it wasn't quite as simple as that. Ray was allowed to go and find another club on the proviso that if he didn't get one, West Ham would take him back. There just wasn't room for him in the first team in those days.
I think there would be a few queuing up for him these days, though, wouldn't there?
Yes. But he has been slightly a late developer. Whitten, this is Johnson, but Grobbelaar is there. Wants somebody to throw it to. A bit disappointed that there's no one initially available. Howe found again another very appropriate piece of football from Rob Jones. Mulvey, who's hardly been able to break into a trot. Not a great runner around the pitch when he's fully fit. But he can pass the ball and let the ball do the work. And the player charged with the responsibility of stopping that is Steve Palmer. But on that occasion, Mulvey found the range. Howe. Mulvey again. Palmer pressing again. Liverpool keep the ball again. Nicol. Ipswich back off. Nicol goes on unabashed. Now, right. They want width here. Marsh. Just plopping it over the top of Thompson for McManaman. Came off Milton. And safely away by Palmer, but Ipswich having to concentrate totally on defending at the moment. Mulvey, who's had his best spell of the match over the last couple of minutes.
I think John Lyle will be looking at his watch very anxiously. I think he'll be very keen to get his team in at half-time and just settle them down and rearrange things. Would have been delighted with the first 20 minutes. Now we're seeing what we've seen many, many times at Anfield. A team right on the rack at the moment.
Palmer. Liverpool, who had drawn at Crewe in the third round. No alarms there. A hat-trick on a rare appearance this season from John Barnes. Difficult at Bristol Rovers, away again in the fourth round, needed the replay. Away again to Ipswich, first of all, of course, in round 5. Even though it's Aston Villa, they'll be pleased to play at home in the next round if they get through. Walk. Well, Whitten was playing then on the inexperience of Steve Harkness.
Yeah, but what a wonderful ball from John Watt. shown that he may be well over 30, John Watt, but he can still pick out 40-yard passes. No doubt about a free kick. Bit surprised about the booking, though.
Well, David Burrows, who's out of the side, having collected, I think, 9 yellow cards this season. And his deputy also has the same problem. It's Thompson to take the free kick. Very nearly got to Dazelle. Mark Wright climbed well in the nick of time. Mulby. Well, you do feel if Mulby can assert himself, Liverpool will find the tools to finish the job. Been one or two more classy balls from the Danish international, Mark Walters, and those ahead of Jan Mulby will certainly appreciate that. He's been out for the last 4 games with this knee problem, which has given Jamie Redknapp an opportunity. But Ipswich very eager in the middle of the field themselves. Milton with Kiwomya. This is very well played because Kiwomya will keep the ball in. And Milton was hoping that they might keep it going. A little private game then between the two of them. He was making a run into the middle. Kiwomya's cross was blocked behind for the corner.
But that's what they need to do, Martin. They've got to exert some pressure of their own.
2 minutes to go to half-time. The key man here, David Linnigan waiting by the near post, and possibly Steve Whitten on the other side of the goal. Here's Whitten, but Grobbelaar beat him to it very well. When a goalkeeper comes like that, he has to make the ball his, and Grobbelaar did just that. Johnson. Marsh on the edge of his own area, and no one, because of the risk of going offside, could have run into the area then, from Ipswich's point of view.
Ipswich's job tonight really does demand 100% concentration for the whole 90 minutes or 120, whatever it's going to be. Because when you look around this Liverpool side, they have enough individual talent, enough players, that just one spark can open up their team.
This is Johnson. It's a corner, but before that, Al Bucksh just wanting to make sure that Kiwomya was okay. Linnigan. Well, they can scarcely fail to miss him, Liverpool. He's the biggest man in there. But at the moment, Ipswich rather using him as a decoy. And certainly Liverpool will know about John Walk as well, who at this stage in the first game hit the crossbar at Portman Road right on half-time. Milton. Walters. We move into stoppage time. He is the furthest forward for Liverpool. He's got support in the centre now from Saunders. McManaman's up as well. And moments after having a corner of their own, Ipswich have to defend one. Marsh. Houghton. Walters can whip it back in again. Yes, Ray Houghton. Well, the half was just long enough for Liverpool. A minute of stoppage time played. And Ray Houghton drilled it low inside inside the near post of Craig Forrest.
Well, I said earlier on that he's got better quality than he showed, and here it is. Not on his best foot by any means, but there's only the smallest of gaps there. And it's a brilliant finish. Give him too much time. He's got time to set it up and drill it in the near post. What a blow that is for Ipswich.
Well, Ipswich came fast out of the traps here tonight and imposed themselves on this replay quicker than Liverpool did. But there are a few better teams anywhere at pacing the job than Liverpool FC. And the half ending really on a high note. Ray Houghton, who's had such a consistent season for Liverpool, and he's served Graham Souness so well again. Ipswich will feel a little hard done by. Liverpool certainly got better as the half wore on, and they've crowned it by taking the lead right on the half-time whistle. At Anfield, at half-time, it's Liverpool 1, Ipswich Town 0.
Welcome back. 1-0 Liverpool at half-time. That Carlsberg man of the match telephone number, 0898 500 125. 0898 500 125. Matt Lorenzo will give you the outcome. Sky Soccer Weekend this coming Friday. Ron, just enough time, I mean, a perfect time to strike.
Well, exactly. I mean, it couldn't have been any later. And but you did sense, although just prior to that, Ipswich had a couple of corners, but you just did sense that Liverpool was starting to grow, and I always felt a goal was coming at any given time.
Around about that time, you and I both shouted penalty as Steve Whitten challenged Mark Walters. Let's put it like that. Not sure whether he got a piece of the ball at all.
Yes, I think, for me, I think this was a penalty. Walters drags it down. Now, Steve Whitten is actually a forward player, being asked there to do a defensive job, a marking job. He's lunged. He's made, to be fair to Steve Whitten, he's made an attempt for the ball, but he has in fact caught Walters and brought him to ground.
Yeah,
and,
I mean, attempt or not, if you catch him.
Yeah, that would be right.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I think most referees would have given that, particularly in view of it was in fairly much an open space. It wasn't as if it was in a congested area and the referee may not have had a good view of it. And your gut feeling is when it first happens, OK, we've seen the action replay, but your gut feeling was when it first happened it was a penalty, and I think Liverpool should have had a penalty there.
He'll take a lot of credit, or should do, for the goal, Mark Walters.
Yes, he's probably been the main threat. There he lofts it in following the corner. It's just half cleared out to Houghton, who has had by his standards, a very quiet game. And he's hit it low. I'm not sure whether he didn't get a little deflection. He's hit it low with his left foot. And it's unusual to beat the keeper with a left-footed shot at the near post with that. I'm not so sure when we saw it from behind the goal that it may have taken a slight deflection. Keeper may just have been a little bit unsighted as well. There it is, it's deflected out. Now, you'd have bet money if he's going to shoot with his left foot now, he'd be looking for the far post.
I think he was.
Because the keeper's got a lot of cover. Keeper's got the near post covered fairly well, and he must have seen it late, Forrest. I think Forrest will feel he should have saved that.
When I say Walters takes credit for the goal, I don't just mean for that cross, but he'd stormed into Ipswich territory right on half-time to win that corner.
Well, that's right. I mean, Ipswich were actually attacking. They'd had a corner, which got partially cleared. Walters picked the ball up just outside his own half and ran positively. He ran straight down the flank, and that sometimes is the value of having a quick player in a wide position. He's carried it the length of the field, and in the end, they've had to defend it, Ipswich, and conceded the corner from which Liverpool have ultimately scored.
And they'll be particularly disappointed, Ipswich, because they started well and looked the most dangerous. They finished well, and Liverpool had the best spell in the middle. Yeah,
it seems strange. They were strong in midfield. They tightened down very well on Liverpool. As they were saying in commentary position, that Palmer was going to do a man-to-man job on Jan Molby, which he appeared to do very, very well. And I don't know how little things trigger games. Now, Johnson got injured, and Johnson had been quite a key figure, and he had a knock, and that just, the little spell where he took a bit of time to get back into the game, appeared to give Liverpool a chance to settle down. And after that, all right, the brief flurry before half-time, the two corners for Ipswich, but after that, I felt Liverpool were always growing and building. I mean, there was the good situation when Marsh should have scored. I mean, they worked him in the wide position on the right-hand side, and you know, Forrest can take good credit. He stood up and touched it round the post, but there was always a threat. And funnily enough, most of the threat has come, I feel, through Walters. When he's had the ball, particularly when Steve Whitten's been asked to do a defending job. When Steve Whitten, he's a natural front runner. When he's worked back as the sort of wide man in the midfield, he's often been 1v1 against Walters, and he always looks like we've seen with the penalty situation, and indeed, probably Stockwell may have got closer to Walters who crossed the original ball for Houghton to
On
score.
the run. Let's just have another look at the penalty incident. The neutrals will be screaming no, they get enough of them. But I think, like you, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, he's turning. Steve Whitten's unbalanced there, and he's just lunged. I mean, a natural defender would possibly have been a little bit more patient. He may not have been, he may have thrown himself in anyway, but I feel that Steve isn't the greatest defender in his own penalty box. I mean, he's created a fair few chances for Ipswich by his attacking play, particularly his ability in the air, but defensively he can't shift his feet quick enough against a tricky winger.
West Ham and Sunderland, highlights from Upton Park, extended highlights coming up later in this programme. Our live match, Liverpool against Ipswich. It's 1-0 to Liverpool at the moment. We'll be back with the second half very shortly. Stay with us. Welcome back. Remember, highlights from Upton Park coming up, West Ham and Sunderland. Our live match comes from Anfield. Liverpool against Ipswich. 1-0 to Liverpool at half-time. Commentators Andy Gray and Martin Tyler.
Thank you, Richard. We've had drama at half-time down below with the news that referee Alf Baksh has strained a groin muscle, and the senior linesman Ken Leach will take over for the second half. It's not the first time it's happened to him. A couple of years ago, in an important League Cup tie between Nottingham Forest and Tottenham, he took over. I was at that game, and I remember he did a particularly good job. Jerry Carroll, the fourth official, is now the third official. All that hard on the heels of Ray Houghton's goal, which Ipswich have had to absorb down in their dressing room and try to come up with a way to wipe out now as Liverpool set off facing the Kop in the second half.
Yeah, I would love to have been in the Ipswich dressing room at half-time just to see John Lyall at work. That's when a manager really has to earn his corn, when his team have lost a goal here at Anfield, an injury time in the first half of a cup tie. And they've had to get his team's heads up off their chest, because I'm sure there was a few chins down there, and get them to go out and peg this goal back if they possibly can.
Saunders. Liverpool, on the other hand, having made this very shaky start to the game, will want to continue where they left off. It really was quite an odd sort of first half, with Ipswich doing the second division proud in the early stages, and Liverpool a little uncertain, at times looking a little lethargic. But Ipswich must feel that they're not just taking on the 11 players in red out there, they're taking on the history books as well. The poor record of past Ipswich sides here, some of them crammed full of international players as well in the times of Bobby Robson, when they were rivaling with Liverpool for the league title. But they didn't manage a victory. It's also been pointed out around Merseyside over the past couple of days that Liverpool haven't been beaten at home in an FA Cup replay since 1969. Leicester City were the team to do it then. It's a famous match because Roger Hunt, the hero of the day, was substituted for the first time and threw his shirt at Bill Shankly. McManaman.
I bet you that was the only time he threw his shirt at Bill Shankly.
That's why it made the headlines. I don't think anybody will be doing the same in Graham Souness's direction tonight. Well, maybe. You never know. It is a match of passion and emotion. But the happier emotions are with Liverpool at the moment and their supporters. Walters. Dean Saunders was just feeling John walk and actually in the end holding his shirt. Thompson. Now Dazelle. For Milton, who was full of good ideas in the first half. It was a bit unfortunate for him that the ball actually deflected off his head to Ray Houghton for the goal. I'm sure all of you at home have been analysing the replays through the half-time interval of how Ray Houghton's shot got in. And certainly the feeling up on the gantry here was that Craig Forrest, no goalkeeper likes to be beaten at the near post, but there was a fair case for claiming he was unsighted. And it was hit with real precision by this chap here, Ray Houghton. And he's in the clear again. Saunders coming to the near post, so was McManaman. Forrest using the ball quickly, and well, Steve Nick will tell you he meant to do that. Saunders can feel that Liverpool are a little more relaxed now. Here's Molby, trying to pull a string or two. But all Walters can do is play the ball towards the touchline where none of his teammates were. Andy?
I suppose if you're looking for some good out the goal for Ipswich, it did look as if they were getting pushed further and further back, Martin, in the first half. And there might have been a tendency for the players, had they gone in at 0-0, to have adopted the same tactics second half and maybe lost the game 1-0 in the 87th minute or something. They now at least know that they have to come forward looking for a goal. And at least is one positive thing they have.
Liverpool, this League of Nations club at the moment, I think 8 different countries represented in their 13 players tonight, and the 2 substitutes, Ronnie Rosenthal from Israel and Istvan Kozma from Hungary, hoping to make his home debut. His first appearance in Liverpool colours was at Ipswich as a substitute, and he started at Norwich on Saturday. Now Marsh. What a great opportunity it has been in adversity for the youth of Liverpool. But Marsh, beaten by the determination again of Simon Milton. That's a fine ball on Johnson. Always aware that Neil Thompson will charge on ahead of him, but he underhit his attempt to find him. Jones. Lenigan's got to deal with this, and he does it the safest way possible. McManaman.
And of course what Ipswich mustn't do is lose an early goal.
Just gone off the pitch to have a word with the dugout. Back on again now, but not upfield for the corner, unusually. And he's still back on the halfway line as Liverpool now have the throw. Marsh. Well, there was no way Saunders could reach that. Kopp trying to stake a claim for a penalty for him, and now Kiwomya fouled by Nicol, and the replacement referee has a decision to make here.
I don't really think he has, and he's made the right one. Like, both players go off the pitch into that soft bit of turf there that the linesman runs along and just completely lose their footing. But it would have been interesting if Chris Kiwomya had managed to stay on his feet.
You don't think Steve Nicol put his right arm out intentionally as he fell then? Well, you obviously don't. I might beg to differ, but he's very clever at it, and if it was a foul, it was very professionally done. Here's Walters. Harkness. Houghton delightfully delivered from Mulby. He in turn for Walters, but they were trying to wave him forward, and in the end he had to wave an arm of apology. Mark Walters was in a position where he could have got the ball to feet.
It's too easy for Jan Mulby. He'll roll it to someone's feet, Martin. Don't be silly.
He is blessed with great confidence, not to say at times a touch of arrogance in his own ability, and why not the way he can move the ball around the football pitch. But not moving at the moment is Steve Harkness. Phil Boersma on the scene. Souness is in trouble here with the other linesman, John Biddle, for coaching or passing on a message of a coaching nature to Rob Jones, and it needs the Merseyside constabulary to get the Liverpool manager back in its proper place. Shades of Glasgow.
No, he was never allowed to sit in the touchline when he was in Glasgow, man.
I've got quite a long memory. You have to remember when Graham was on the bench with Rangers. And then again heads it forward for Ipswich. Here's Mulby. Nicol went outside him, but again Mulby spurned the simple pass. But Dazelle with a pass of Mulby dimensions to Kiwomya. Johnson's cross. Here's Milton, great header out by Mark Wright. Wonderful piece of defending there. Ipswich certainly had numbers attacking the ball in the centre.
They're created through Jason Dazelle's magnificent crossfield ball to Chris Kiwomya. But what a defensive header from Mark Wright.
Here's Dazelle. Oh, and Milton had darted in for a shorter pass. Dazelle feeling that it's time to try and get a shot away. But earlier they came closer.
Yeah, he hook it well into the box. That's the thing, is it Jason Dazelle who managed to make up ground at the back post and nod it back across. But watch Mark Wright there. That's great defending.
Palmer. Witten. Here's Walk. We're 11 minutes into the second half. Liverpool lead Ipswich by 1-0, coming in stoppage time at the end of the first half. And in an ever-changing season, the consistent thread, Ray Houghton, supplied the goal. A trip on Harkness by Dazelle. Jones. Kiwomya, time to control. Palmer, but Mike Marsh was in very quickly indeed. Saunders likewise, but Walk just able to play the ball away for Ipswich. Milton again, who really has given a display of non-stop endeavour. Not everything he's tried has come off, but he really is the heartbeat in midfield for Ipswich at the moment.
It's a great run he's made, and I always feel such a pity and frustration when somebody makes a run like that, gets in a great position and delivers the ball over the crossbar into the dead part of the pitch. I mean, people like Simon Milton has made a great run. All he has to do is just curl his foot round it, put it into that 6-yard area and let his strikers get in after it.
Dean Saunders lifting a boot into the face of John Walk. given the gossip that always leads up to this type of tie. I think Liverpool felt that John Walk might not last the distance. Word of his injury had reached Anfield. But he's still going strong. So too are Ipswich, but they're a goal down. They reached this stage by getting the better of Hartlepool after a home draw. They went away up in the northeast by 2-0 in the third round. Saw off Bournemouth 3-0 at home in round 4. Mulby. Wanting some movement, Houghton again supplying it, and Saunders. Marsh has the shot. The linesman is flagging. The cop were crying for handball as the shot was blocked, but the decision given here was offside.
I think quite right as well. It's Ray Houghton actually, who just in the left of your picture, who crept into the offside position, but noticeable and probably a positive thing from Liverpool that Jan Molby is beginning to get more and more of the ball.
They're getting the ball to him on a more regular basis. Witten. John Walk has missed very little in the middle of Ipswich's defence. Wright's there again. One thing, if we were to get to a penalty shootout tonight, it wouldn't necessarily phase Ipswich too much. They've had 2 already this season in the Zenith competition. They knocked out Luton on penalties back in the autumn, but went out at Stamford Bridge to Chelsea by the same route. Kawamia offside. Saunders, and then Marsh again. Mark Walters left back on his heels, really, wanting the ball to his feet to try and take on Ipswich and show off his repertoire. David Linnigan is down in distress now. Goddard, who played for England once, way back in 1982, scored a goal on his only international appearance. Remembered from his time with Queen's Park Rangers and West Ham and Newcastle. Good time at Derby as well. And he, like John Lyle, will be perhaps heading for television once this one is over, to see how their old club West Ham have got on against Sunderland. Remember, that's coming up. Extended highlights, West Ham against Sunderland, straight after we finish tonight at Anfield. Well, David Livingstone has been assessing the mood of Graham Souness down on the bench. David, what's been going on down there?
Well, first of all, Martin, with Liverpool, Istvan Kozma was warming up for some 5 minutes, and the reason was that they were worried about an injury to Steve Harkness. That's why Graham Souness was out and got himself into trouble. He was trying to establish through Rob Jones what was wrong with Harkness. It seems the danger has disappeared, but of course now the attention has switched to Ipswich. It looks as if they're going to bring on Paul Goddard.
What they won't want to happen is losing their captain, an inspirational figure. But there's a heavy limp for Linnigan at the moment. The 2 number 2s up against each other all the time, the way the strategy is sorted out here. Marsh will be releasing the ball quickly, hoping to find Houghton over the top. Jones, and Milton is there again. Ben Johnson. Offside. There's clearly an area on that far side that Liverpool are trying to exploit to bring the best out of Mark Walters. They haven't quite been able to do that. And Saunders, Linnigan, it's another offside.
That's close, that one, Martin, I tell you. Rob Jones on this side is a mighty relieved man. He was just a couple of yards deeper than his other defenders.
Here's Dazelle. Liverpool still leading. But Ipswich looking to alter that. So Ipswich will make their change. And it's a tactical move with Steve Palmer, the anchor man in midfield, going off. It's a brave decision by John Lyle because Linnigan is limping, Johnson is limping, but he wants them still out there, and he wants Paul Goddard to bring his craft in the cause of Ipswich now. He's always been a most thoughtful attacker. Walk. Kiwomya not thinking then. He was standing.
That's lazy, Martin. Lazy play from Chris Kiwomya really cost him a great situation. Slow in getting back. What Ipswich will do now, and certainly they have done now, is put Jason Dazelle back into that midfield area. But what a handy player to be able to put on if you're looking for a goal in a match, Paul Goddard. The tremendous goal-scoring record.
Jason Dazelle does prefer playing from midfield. I said in the commentary on the first game that at Ipswich they liken him to Trevor Brooking in movement, and also in the fact that he might be now at an age in his mid-20s to make a major impact on the game. Trevor Brooking wasn't even sure of a place in the West Ham starting lineup in his early 20s. Saunders. Johnson got to the ball. Linnigan. Now Kiwomya. Ipswich want to support him. They're doing that with Johnson through the centre. Goddard to the left. Whitten coming in on the far side, and well, Goddard too anxious to make an early incision. Really, he is such a good technical player. That was quite a surprise that he wasted that.
I don't think any fault of his own. I'm sure that Paul Goddard just seemed to lose his standing foot as he went to put the ball across the goal. But what a chance that was for Ipswich to really test the Liverpool defence there.
And what a reminder it was for Liverpool that they're not in the quarter-finals yet.
But if there's an area for me, looking at the second half, that they can exploit, it is this near side of the pitch. Ray Houghton's got a tremendous appetite to be involved in the game, Martin, even when the ball's way over on the far side, and tends to go in those diagonal runs that I mentioned in the first half. When he does that, he does leave a huge hole on this side, and if Ipswich can transfer the ball and get it quickly, they really could get some joy down here.
We're halfway through the second half. It's still Liverpool 1, Ipswich 0. Goddard's dummy. Milton, he can shoot. But like so much of the work of Ipswich tonight, it's Lachlan finale.
This is right out the West Ham textbook. Step over from Goddard. The unfortunate thing for Simon Milton, that was there to be hit with his left foot. Not his favourite foot, and it was a difficult shot to take on his right.
Well, he scored the winning goal at Tranmere on Friday, not too far away from here. He's got 7 from midfield this season, which is a very healthy return. And one thing about him, he won't be disheartened by the disappointment then. he'll continue to make those runs to try and get in behind Liverpool once more. Thompson with the throw. Ipswich really trying to grasp the nettle here. Well, special supporters of Liverpool tonight, guests of their care in the community programme, which is run here by a former Liverpool favourite, Brian Hall. And it is good to see football doing so much for those in special need. I'm sure those particular supporters will have a night to remember this evening. Dazelle, Linegan, Thompson, trying to run past Houghton. He's done that. Well, again, it was a pretty narrow margin. Thompson hitting, he hoped towards goal. In the end, it flashed across in front of his colleagues.
It's a brilliant positive run that he sets out on, Neil Thompson. And if your luck's in, Martin, Paul Goddard gets a toe to this, takes it through and slots it in.
Walk. Ipswich showing signs of a second wind, and their supporters have also got plenty of air in their lungs, and they're matching the Kop at the moment.
Oh, they've come up here to enjoy themselves, and they see their team putting up a tremendous show, battling really hard to stay in this FA Cup.
Well, Dean Saunders, Graham Souness called for everyone to fight for the cause tonight, and there can be no complaints about the commitment of a player who spills blood like that.
I think when managers say that, I want you to spill blood for me tonight, I don't think that's quite what they mean.
It's quite useful when you get in the dressing room afterwards to, from a player's point of view, to point out, as long as it's not too serious, and I'm not sure that this is. Well, he's been thinking about making a change. Istvan Kozma, the Hungarian, who had 2.5 years in Scotland with Dunfermline, and Ronnie Rosenthal are out of the dugout again. As the Welshman is assessed by Phil Borsma as to whether there might be a stitch or two needed then.
It's an interesting one for referee, Mark. I know that they don't usually like players these days to be running about the pitch if they've got blood running down their face or anything like that. And they certainly don't like players carrying sponges and things like that that get clogged up with blood for obvious reasons.
There was an incident in the Rangers game last night when Nigel Spackman had to go off the pitch. Mulvey takes the free kick. Right, got to it, hesitation, he's caused it, and in the end he was very nearly there to take advantage of it. Bravely claimed by Forrest in the end.
They just froze there for a minute, the Ipswich defenders. All left the ball to one another.
And Thompson didn't leave it to Houghton down here. Here he is again. Johnson with a chance to cross it. Witten coming in from deep. Dazelle. Here's Stockwell. Liverpool's lead looking a little precarious. Dazelle trying to stretch and swing that right leg to pull the ball across the face of the goal.
I mean, you just watch this as this comes in. Matt Wright causes the confusion. But like 4 Ipswich defenders just all leaving at each other. Fortunately, Craig Forrest very alert and just scoops up the danger.
There was that robust figure, Neil Thompson, who actually reacted quickly. Or quicker than the others, anyway. We weren't really reacting at all. The linesman's flagging. Linegan wasn't aware of that, and when he got to the ball, but with the full bulk flattened Steve McManaman.
Brilliant centre-half's header that though, Martin. If you were to say centre-half, so that's what, when the ball's in the air and they've got a centre forward in front of you, that's what I want you to do. That was a classic example of going and claiming the ball.
There's an imprint of McManaman's nose down in the turf there, I think. This is Goddard for Ipswich. Whitton. Mark Walters helping Steve Harkness. He likes to do his work in the other half. Harkness again. Saunders looking to bend his run through the centre to make sure he didn't go offside.
Steve Harkness is really struggling, Martin. He's gone down again. I think the referee's gone over to have a look at him. It does seem to be toiling to stay in the game. As he tried to play that long ball, he really did pull up in tremendous pain.
But when you're in his position and you've got a first-team shirt on your back, you don't go off the pitch too willingly. David Burrows soon to be back from suspension to reclaim that shirt. Milton there again, but Harkness fit enough to dispossess him. Forrest having to come out of his area. Putting it onto the roof of the Kenlin Road stand, behind which the building of the new edifice on the far side is well underway. They're building up behind the present stand. It's not inconveniencing the present structure of the ground at all. Clever piece of architecture and engineering. Can Ipswich engineer an equaliser though? They've got 15 minutes left. Have certainly shown that they've got the ingenuity. What they haven't been able to provide is the final thrust.
I think that's right, but what they do know is if they do just get one more chance, somebody just might pop one in for them.
Saunders. Milton. Oh, and Grobbelaar was worried. The ball was going over his hands and it's ended up here.
Well, if this is a save, Mark, it's an unbelievable one from Bruce Grobbelaar. Just touches his fingertips. What a great stretch.
There was hardly any movement on the path of the ball, but a corner it is that's been given. Thompson to take it. Grobbelaar hasn't got there. Goddard, but the whistle has gone.
He does take some chances, Bruce, doesn't he? I mean, he's brave because he wants to go in there. Look at that, coming in amongst all those bodies. I'm not so sure there's a free kick involved there, Martin, but he comes in amongst a lot of bodies and he gets the benefit there.
Just another pat on the back for Simon Milton, who had the shot that brought about the corner, and he was winning the ball back again to earn this free kick. He's everywhere. Oh, and that's Dazelle. They're still very much in the show here, which you're seeing live on Sky Sports.
Very much in the show. Jason Liddell keeps in there. I'm sure he'll feel he might have hit the target with that header. But he...
Right, only Saunders through the centre. Marsh, Saunders. Whitton squeezing it forward to Goddard. Then Dazelle, the right Smith's header for once mistimed. Kiwomya. No foul. The man in the middle, the referee Ken Leach, who started the game as a linesman and has kept control tidily in the second half, replacing the injured Alf Butch. Johnson. Kiwomya given a shout to turn by his teammates. Whether he could hear it in this din, I don't know, but turn he did. And Ipswich perhaps in danger of overcommitting, but Manaman Linnigan's come across, Walters is through the centre, Saunders is there as well, Marsh making ground for midfield. Oh, and Walters can go on, hits Forrest. Help from Milton again, as the ball bounced off the goalkeeper.
That's always going to be the danger, and Ipswich just have to accept that they might lose another goal, searching for this equaliser.
Jones. McManaman gets away from Thompson, but can't catch up the ball. Well, as a game, it took a while to take off, but it's certainly lasting the distance. Marsh. Saunders. Forrest started to come, has gone back now. Jones is up there in the central striking position at the moment. Saunders dallying, the Kop wanting a more positive response. Marsh. Sensibly played. Here's Walters. The second goal now. And, well, the sixth round very much will be in Liverpool's sights. Walk has other ideas. Nicol wasn't lulled into any sense of full security then, just because Liverpool had the ball for a moment or two in the Ipswich half. Jones and Gavin Johnson, who's only a year older than Rob Jones, has done his best in this duel between the two starlets. Johnson really hasn't been fully fit either. Been carrying that left ankle for much of the match.
Yeah, we're at the stage now, Martin, where they've really got to gamble, Ipswich. 10 minutes to go, one down at Anfield. No point in playing it safe and just ending up getting beat 1-0. They're as well taking a chance, going for the throat, trying to get the equaliser. And if they lose another one, then they've had a go, haven't they?
Stockwell certainly having a go here. Goddard. Liverpool anticipated that easily. But so in turn for Ipswich did Walk. 5 ahead of him wearing blue shirts. Whitten driving the cross. Johnson! Gavin Johnson with a thunderbolt of a header. A glorious goal for Ipswich. Grobbelaar had absolutely no chance. It ripped into the top of the net.
Well, they said John Watt might not last the game, but he starts to move. This is a magnificent cross from Steve Whitten. And a brilliant header from Gavin Johnston. That's unstoppable. And I don't think there's anyone in this ground that can say they haven't deserved it. Watch it again as it comes over. There's Johnson at the back post. Misses everyone. Pick that one out. Great finish.
Gavin Johnson is a shy, almost disarmingly modest character. But he is thrilled now, as all the Ipswich fans are. It's time for Ronnie Rosenthal, who was actually waiting to come on at 1-0. He arrives at 1-1. 8 minutes to go. And is it going to be extra time? Liverpool, who have spent a lot of this season expertly papering over cracks that have developed largely through injuries. Well, is this going to be the night when there isn't enough paper to go round? Dozell. But it was a move of really high calibre. Walks past to Whitten, a cross that tempted Grobbelaar, but was too good for him. He knew he couldn't go for it. He was trying to get back into position, but Gavin Johnson connected so sweetly. And the net was bulging. Ipswich were celebrating. And this cup tie now is, well, threatening the favourites, to say the least.
Watch this for a cross, Martin. Look at the way Steve Whitten curls the ball away from the goalkeeper. That would have been easy to miss. I'm telling you something, Gavin Johnson didn't have a lot of target to aim at. There was a lot of bodies on that goal line. but he's found the space magnificently.
Rosenthal, there was a lot of pushing and shoving there, most of it from the Israeli international.
Tell you, John Lair won't be happy to see that man come on, you know. How many times has Ronnie Rosenthal come on as a substitute for Liverpool and turned the game on its head?
Well, when he first arrived at Anfield, of course, almost 2 years ago, he helped them get the championship with a flurry of fine goals. Well, they need a goal from him now. Ipswich Town, who are sitting proudly in second place in the second division and have so much to look forward to over the rest of the season. But they might have, alongside that league priority, a quarter-final place in the FA Cup. Still a lot to do, but they're level with Liverpool at last, having trailed since stoppage time at the end of the first half.
What they can't afford to do, though, Mark, is think that they've achieved it, that they've got there, they've got the goal. If they dare relax for a minute, then, as we've said many times tonight, Liverpool have the individual ability in the side to make you pay for any slackness.
Here's McManaman, Rosenthal, Walk didn't get there, but Stockwell did, and he's hurt himself with some heroic tackling then.
That's exactly what I mean, brother. If you just go to sleep for a minute and they just give him enough room, Ronnie Rosenthal, as he cuts inside John Watt. But watch this for a covering tackle. He knew he was gambling, Mick Stockwell, because there was two other players the other side of him completely unmarked. But he did what he had to do. He won the ball.
John Walk will be relieved because he could have given away a penalty then. Rosenthal, to his credit, wasn't looking for it. He wanted to go on for the goal, but Stockwell stood firm. 5 minutes to go in the 90 minutes. 1-1. Right! Well, he had a goal disallowed at Portman Road from a very similar position.
Well, as it comes in, Ipswich really are very slack here, Martin. They can't afford to be. Not with someone like Mark Reiter. Look at that for a climb. Just tries to drop it in the far corner, and that can only be inches wide. Which way is this cup tie going to turn?
As you would expect them to do. Johnson. Can Ipswich Town here make all the headlines in tomorrow's papers and make history as well? Dozell and Grobbelaar. There was just a semblance of a chance. But after he dummied then, that Steve Whitten, who is a leggy player, might have just got to the ball. Rosenthal, who's revived Liverpool. You just wonder, with David Linnigan, who was well beaten by Wright's jump and that header a moment ago, and has lost some of the spring with his injury. Well, there's Wright making sure there was no spring from Goddard either.
No chance, Martin. David Linnigan ain't going off this pitch. That's a certainty. He's out there, he's skipper, he's staying on.
Dozell. Ipswich have found it quite hard going since they equalised. Almost as if the emotion of the equaliser has drained a little bit of their strength. They fought so hard to get it, and they're now hoping that they'll have another 30 minutes to play. Jones.
I tell you what, they're hoping, Martin. They're hoping they can nick one in the last minute and they can go home very happy.
Here's Wright. Free kick to Liverpool. The club that has made a reputation for many things over the last 25 years for success, and part of that success has been the ability to get goals in the closing stages when they're faced by difficulties. They got one in the closing stages here of the first half. And now we're in the final minute of the second, with extra time looming, but before that, a free kick to Liverpool.
I mean, I quite fancy another half an hour of this. I don't know about you, Martin, but it's been brilliant entertainment.
Absolutely right, and some bumps and bruises, wear and tear, going to be taken into the extra 30 minutes, but let's not prejudge it. This is Liverpool facing the Kop. Mulby. That came off Gazelle. Back from Rosenthal, and that may well mean extra time.
I think we might be in line for a couple of minutes of injury time as well. There's been one or two times in the second half when trainers have been on. Still time for this game to be won.
Right. Ken Leach, the replacement referee, is certainly having an eventful evening, and his next blast on the whistle perhaps will mean an extra half an hour's work for all concerned. Right. Saunders coming for this, but beaten to it by Goddard. Liverpool's throw. 75 seconds of time added on. Nicol. Thompson, not quite the angle on it. Grobbelaar not settling for the game, having that extra half an hour, but Nicol might be. And we all look at the referee again. The second half has now run 47 minutes. The free kick to Ipswich. Johnson. Witten has always been the outlet right from the start. But in keeping the ball in, he's lost out to Harkness. Now Houghton, Rosenthal wrong-footed, Houghton again. Saunders. Now Nicol. Ipswich reforming in terms of their defending to try and stop Liverpool doing what they are trying, very nearly were able to achieve then. Gazelle. Lineker. Well, it was in Witten's direction again.
What's funny there as well, Jason Gazelle looks at Andy Linnigan as if to say, what are you doing? Pass the ball. Andy Linnigan looks at him and says, I'm a defender, I'm getting rid of it. There ain't much time to go. And who would argue with him?
48 minutes in the second half now. And remember, it was in stoppage time Ray Houghton scored Liverpool's goal. but a quite breathtaking equaliser for Ipswich, with Walk and Whitten serving it up, and Gavin Johnson burying the header. Gavin Johnson, who's on the ball here. Thompson with a long throw. Gazelle trying to take up a position to reach it. Whitten's come in as well. Goddard. It was fleeting. Liverpool survived it. The referee has another look at the watch but doesn't blow the whistle. This is Houghton. Now Rosenthal. Mulvey lets it run. Saunders. Johnson, two through the middle for Ipswich. Johnson stopped his toe. Now McManaman. The last launching raid from Liverpool. Linnigan hasn't cleared it. Rob Jones! Well, so much has gone for him this season.
I'm going to tell you something, Martin. Gavin Johnson scored the equaliser, and I'm not joking, he gets in a magnificent block here. This is a corner. As Rob Jones brings it down, Johnson gets it. It clips him on the boot and it just drifts wide. A magnificent block from Gavin Johnson.
And it should have been a corner. It is extra time. Liverpool 1, Ipswich Town 1. We'll take a short break and be back for the whole of extra time live on Sky Sports. Welcome back to Anfield. This thrilling cup tie goes into extra time, and the atmosphere lifted even more because the Liverpool supporters have heard that Chelsea are winning at Manchester United, and of course the very last thing the Liverpool fans want to happen this season is for United to win the league. They still believe that their players have got a chance in that competition as well, but over the next half an hour we'll see whether they can stay in the FA Cup. We have to have a result, I'm sure you're well aware of that, even if it goes to penalties.
You just look for signs, don't you, to see who might be tired or you go into extra time. It was noticeable when they had the little break. Every one of the Ipswich players practically flat on their back, resting their legs, whereas the Liverpool lads, whether it was this little psychological twist from Graham Souness, made every player just stand up when he was talking to them.
Here's Walk, who's listed by John Lyle to be one of the 5 penalty takers for Ipswich if it gets that far, along with Steve Whitten, Neil Thompson, Jason Dazelle and Simon Milton.
Well, I just hope for one that it doesn't go that far. I know it makes great television at times, Martin, but I'm a great lover of the FA Cup, as it was, I'm afraid. And I would like games like this to be finished where they should be finished, during the 90 minutes or the 120 minutes.
Rosenthal. Now Saunders. Here's Marsh. McManaman starting extra time out on the right. Rosenthal and Saunders through the centre for Liverpool. And Gavin Johnson doing that vigil for Ipswich on the left-hand side, but with the eye to come in when the play builds up on the right, as he did so spectacularly. And that is why we're in extra time. Here's Milton, who hasn't flagged. Both sides have one more substitute to use for Ipswich. It's Romeo Zondervan. Isfan Cosma for Liverpool. Kiwomya. It's gone out! Very nearly glory.
Well, he can't believe it, can he? They gave him too much space. Tolga does not want to turn down an opportunity, and he just clips the top of the crossbar with Bruce Grobbelaar beaten.
Well, he's always been a very popular player wherever he's plied his trade. Paul Goddard, known throughout the game as Sarge. Here's the one they call Dino. Houghton. And Saunders, Harkness. Liverpool, I'm sure, feel they've got to try and settle it within the half an hour. The penalty shootout is a lottery, and their superior technique may not count so much from 12 yards. Right, making the ball his. Oh, and Forrest got his geography just right. Kiwomya and Goddard through the centre. Nicol keeping his eye on the ball. Arriving at speed. Here's Milton again. Here's Witten, who's kept the shape so successfully for Ipswich. I just feel that we haven't seen anything really from Kiwomya yet, and he might find more room in extra time. Another great tackle by Walk. But Marsh takes them on. Rosenthal, Walk's got back. Mulvey sets himself for the shot. This time Forrest wasn't unsighted.
Well, we're going to see more and more of this as players get tired. They're going to be striking. Takes a little deflection, but Craig Forrest right behind it. One thing we didn't dwell on at the time, and I think's proved a huge factor in Ipswich's revival, was the substitution that John Lyall made. Since Jason Dozzell moved back into midfield, he really has got his team going, and he's looked a real class player.
Houghton in the middle of midfield now, leaving McManaman to try and express himself wide on the right, but they have to get the ball to him, and they haven't done that too often, nor to Walters when he was on. Owen that's getting a little petulant here between Kiwomya and Jones. The referee taking an understanding view of it. Their young players caught up in this pulsating tie. We had to wait a while for the goals, but they're coming now, and is it Dozzell? Grobbelaar, but Dozzell! Grobbelaar racing out to the referee.
Well, I've just said that the tactical move of Jason Dozzell into midfield deserve more credit. He starts the move, plays it wide, but he makes a magnificent run through the heart of the Liverpool defence. I thought here he was just going to nick it over Bruce Grobbelaar. Bruce makes a brilliant save, but Jason Dozzell's alive enough to tuck it in. Now the big question is, can Liverpool come back from one down?
Well, Grobbelaar, whether he was just trying to point out possibly that there was another Ipswich player up alongside there and could have been offside, but that was a problem for the linesman, not the referee. John Lyall, a manager now who is wondering whether a win at Anfield is going to materialise for him at last. But we were talking about Liverpool being the most dangerous when they're hurt before the game, after that defeat by Norwich. Well, if they were hurt then, they're in agony now.
Just looking at Graham Souness's face there as well. Terrible time for a manager. There is nothing he can do now. He's trying to make himself heard. He's trying to make tactical changes. Players can't hear him. Really can't hear him. Looks like he's calling on Istvan Kozma to bring him on, to try one final throw of the dice for him. But he has got plenty of time still in the game.
We're halfway through the first period of extra time. It's produced a goal, and a fabulous moment here for Ipswich and for Jason Dozzell in particular. It was the rebound that, well, it could have bounced away. Grobbelaar did very well to get to the first shot, but luck wasn't with Liverpool after that, and Dozzell did the necessary. Liverpool 1, Ipswich 2. Here's Milton. And Johnson rather left it for others. McManaman. That's going to be a free kick to Liverpool. And a major problem for the second division side.
They've got themselves in front, Martin, and Ipswich now have to be brave enough to go and win it. You do feel if they think that their game's over, that they've done all they can and they're going to sit back and soak up all the pressure that no doubt Liverpool will exert, that they're bound to concede a goal. And this really a dangerous situation with people like Jan Molby around.
The first sight for the home fans of Liverpool of Istvan Kosma. And almost coming on like, well, at the set piece. Molby! Goal! Jan Molby pulls it out of the fire for Liverpool.
Well, he's had one of his quieter games tonight, Jan Molby, but I don't suppose Graham Souness will care. This is a Molby special. He obviously knew the camera's right in that corner. Bends it, powers it, directs it. Everything exactly right.
2-2. Well, he's almost worth his place for his set pieces. That was in the back of the net before Forrest could blink.
Here's one for you. Now who's going to win it?
Well, Forrest just had time to turn round and assess the inevitable. Dozel. Not only who's going to win, but how are they going to win? There must be a winner. So, they've swapped goals in the 90 minutes. They've already swapped goals in the first period of extra time. Houghton and Molby, the two for Liverpool. Johnson and Dozel for Ipswich. And McManaman! What a turnaround! Well, sensations in extra time at Anfield. 3 goals in some 6 minutes. 2 of them for Liverpool. And the going was tough. And the very tough really are going now.
He did it in the last round. Steve McManaman here against Bristol. And that's a quite magnificently calm finish. Tight angle, goalkeeper goes down. But very, very much like Kenny Dalglish did in a European Cup final many years ago. That young man shows he's capable of holding his nerve and doing exactly the same.
Well, rather like Jan Molby, Steve McManaman hasn't really been centre stage tonight, as he was here against Bristol Rovers. But what a superb goal. But most of all, what a time to get it.
What we've always said though, haven't we? The whole of the game was Ipswich had to concentrate for that length of time, because the individual ability that Liverpool have on the field can win them a game in an instant. And that's the way it's proved. 2 players who have been very quiet have produced 2 pieces of clinical finishing. And from being 2-1 up, within 2 or 3 minutes, they're 3-2 down.
The sheer joy of football is that it is unscripted theatre. Who would dare write a script like this? And you're seeing it unfolding before your very eyes. Saunders, Liverpool so hungry. Here's Houghton. Now Jones, who's playing at left back with the departure of Harkness. It's not a strange position for him. He played his first match of the season at left back for Crewe in a 7-4 game at Barnet. It could be 7-4 here. This is Goddard, and Johnson just too tired. Understandably. Well, Liverpool are leaving Ipswich in their wake now. Saunders, Rosenthal chugging into the centre. McManaman is there. Houghton!
Yeah, the Ipswich players really have given their all, Martin, and there really are some tired legs there. Magnificent drill from Ray Houghton, but they really feel that the one last effort may well be beyond them. I hate saying that because of the way this game's going, but they have got some tremendously tired legs out there.
And also tired minds as well, because it's easy to sit up here and say, well, if you're an Ipswich player, you could be reminding yourself you were one down for a long time in normal time and managed to solve the puzzle. But when you had the joy of being in front, the ecstasy of leading at Liverpool, but John Lyle's seen it all before. He knows the pedigree here. And that pedigree, although it's been revealed late, has certainly been revealed. Linnigan. Here's Houghton. But neither side has had the luxury of being 2 goals in front. Liverpool looking for that. Houghton. Didn't want to hit it straight away. Milton, his nerve is standing the test.
John Lyle, of course, is Romeo Zondervan on the bench. He's one last throw, and I'm just wondering if he'll try in the second half of extra time, whether just to put some fresh legs on there.
This, I suppose, should be a secret, but I'm going to spill it to the viewers. There was a very happy Aston Villa reaction up here on the gantry when Ipswich went in front. And that's not just Andy Gray. The youth team coach, Richard Money, is up here alongside us as well. It suggests to me...
All it was a reaction to some wonderful goals, that was all.
Who are you trying to kid? You weren't jumping up when Jan Molby scored. Here's Kiwamia. Now Witten. He looks for a goal of thrilling dimensions as well. Oh, what a period of extra time this has been. The leaders swapped. It went first to Ipswich with Jason Dazelle. That was 2-1. Jan Molby then made his mark with a stunning free kick. And straight away, as Ipswich were still coming to terms with that, Steve McManaman struck. And with 15 minutes to go, and still the prospect of penalties, if Ipswich can find something extra in extra time, it's Liverpool 3, Ipswich Town 2, turn around straight away.
Oh, they've got to dig deep now, Ipswich players. It's been a huge effort for them. Behind for most of the second half, and they've dug in and they've worked hard. Now they've got to do it all again. One last throw.
And when the dust has settled here, West Ham and Sunderland still to come, and that might take you on to watching the cricket as well. By the time we get home, that's the button I'll be pushing on my television at Sky Sports.
I almost wish I had stayed at home these last 3 nights.
Goddard. Here's Stockwell. Oh, it's Steve Witten, it's opened up for him! Well, you can bet on opportunities aplenty now. There's so much fatigue in the football, but it's making for thrills.
Oh, what a run. But this man is one of the best strikers of a ball in football, Martin. Has been throughout his career. And he can do better. He'll be absolutely disgusted with himself if he didn't hit the target.
Well, the shirts are blue, just like Everton's were last season. Shades of the 4-4 draw. Goodison Park, we were privileged then.
They're not going to put us through that again, are they?
Goddard. Gazelle. And take a while to pick himself up. Helped by Houghton, reflecting the excellent spirit that has been between the two sides. What was so disappointing 10 days ago, when you see how this match has panned out now, the quality of football that would have been displayed at Portman Road but for that terrible wind. Well, we've had to wait for it, but it's been well worth waiting for. And it isn't over yet. McManaman. Linegan launching himself once more. Now Rosenthal for Liverpool. Saunders going to the left. Jones is over there as well. Mulby. Who's got the lungs? Who's got the legs? Liverpool have got the ball. McManaman teasing. And the Kop don't want to see this, which is to their credit, although you can hardly blame Liverpool for trying to draw breath. It is a little out of character here, but that's a compliment to Ipswich. They forced Liverpool, Mike Marsh would say, to play the ball back then. Mulby. Rosenthal. Saunders in the centre. He's up. And once again, in the nick of time, Ipswich found a player, but it was John Walk who's damaged himself in the process. And in went Thompson into the back of McManaman. John Walker seized up.
I do think now that old age is creeping up on Walkie, isn't it? It was quite a magnificent header that he cleared away from Dean Saunders, whose eyes must have lit up when Ronnie Rosenthal dinks this one. Look, he pulls behind David Linegan, but watch Watt come from nowhere to get a brilliant clearing header, and that's just cramp he's gone down with.
Well, they may need Romeo Zondervan now. The Dutchman, who's been in England a good while, first of all with West Bromwich Albion, and with Ipswich since 1984, can play at the back as well as in midfield. They're trying to put Walk back together again.
And I can tell you, if John Walk says no, you can guarantee it must be pretty serious cramp, Martin.
I'm disappointed with the Kop. They haven't come up with any variations of "You'll never walk, John Walk." Well, he's not exactly walking either, is he? But he's trying to stand his ground. Mulby will take the free kick. That's menacing. And Marsh trying to sweep it goalwards.
But that's brilliant thinking from Jan Mulby, isn't it? When everyone's probably tired, Ipswich defenders are tired, they expect him it's going to be launched into the box, and he just tries to pick out Mike Marsh at the edge of the box.
Well, it's been live football all the way on Sky Sports this week, and it's almost as if we've been building to this climax.
It's what we always say though, Mark, as well. It's nothing quite like being there, is there?
Saunders. Stockwell ahead of Rosenthal. The concern with Ipswich is obviously the state of John Walk. John Lyle just trying to get a message out there, but I think Walk's sending one back simply by staying put. But there's no need for him now to labour particularly through it if it's going to let Liverpool in again. But perhaps he thinks it'll be his last game on this famous ground. Saunders. A fourth goal for Liverpool now, and I think we will be sure we'll be playing Aston Villa, entertaining Aston Villa in the quarter-finals. Game which will be played a week on Sunday. But Liverpool are having to put in a lot of work to get there. They've got to play in Europe as well prior to that cup meeting. And still they're counting their casualties. Here's Cosma. Milton playing for the goal kick, but it's ended as a corner. He can be very proud of his performance tonight.
So can they all, Martin. Every player, all 22, 23, 24, how many it is that's been on. They've all contributed to a marvellous exhibition of football.
Ipswich just leaving Kiwomya up, because they have to defend at the moment. McManaman. Now they can break out. Who can make the run? It's Stockwell. And he's changed direction well to keep it in. Saunders. Just for a moment, it looked as though they might fashion a similar move to the one that brought Johnson the first Ipswich goal. Here he is, Johnson again. It's well hit. There was no possible chance of Grobbelaar fumbling that. Once he saw Goddard herring in for the rebound, Bruce knew he had to hang on.
The only thing he did wrong there, Gavin Johnson, he hit it too well.
Whitton. Kiwomya asked to chase that by Walk. Ipswich trying to get to the knockdown. And Nicol has hurt himself, I think, in stretching for that one. That's Milton. And Steve Nicol, who's only just back from a groin strain, had to go for a ball that was dropping awkwardly then, and certainly felt some damage to a leg muscle.
And I think that little flurry there we've had from Ipswich, that's an answer to anyone who thinks that they might have given this tie up. Still driving forward, giving every ounce of energy they've got.
Well, Graham Souness called for fighting spirit, and in the end he got it. And what a fight they've had to put up. But though Ipswich caught them on the chin, they haven't been able to knock them out. McManaman. Well, his goal, the crucial one at the moment. 6 minutes left. Dazelle. Milton, oh, Kiwomya was onside too. Goddard. Kiwomya's offside now. It's been a learning process over the two matches for Chris Kiwomya. 15 goals for Ipswich this season, their top scorer, but scarcely a sight of goal in the two cup ties. And happily, he's been willing to make runs for others.
Yes, it won't do him any harm, Martin. As long as he learns from it. He'll probably go home and he'll sit around and he'll think, you know, that's what I've got to do. These are the type of players, if I want to be the very best, if I want to play at the top end of football, these are the type of players I have to be able to play against week in and week out.
Walk. And Thompson did well to reach that. Cosma reacted quickly for Liverpool. They could find a way through here if they're of a mind to do so. Appear to take their time with the passes, but Rosenthal, of course, has got a point or two to try and prove to Graham Souness. He'd like to have a lower number on his back than the one that he's got on tonight. And John Walk comes up here, and that will be recognised all around the ground with a standing ovation. And he waves to the Kop, a wave perhaps of farewell. A wonderful career, more than 200 goals, most of them for Ipswich. Great time here with Liverpool in the mid-80s. More to come, I'm sure, in the second division, but maybe never again at Anfield.
That was a magnificent gesture, wasn't it, from the whole ground. Great ovation for John Moore. Great to see.
And the handshake started on the touchline with Graham Souness. Remember, John Moore was brought to Liverpool in the first place when Graham Souness indicated he was going to earn his living in Italy. Trying to earn the ball for Ipswich was Kiwomya. And Mick McGibbon and John Lyle feel that that should have gone the other way.
I think they might have something of a case there. If I don't, it's not the first challenge, it's this one that's coming up. About a 6-1 half a dozen, isn't it?
I think he's been penalised for handball.
He has.
Cosma, who's played in one major final already this season. The Skull Cup final with Dunfermline in Scotland. Thompson. No real room for him to swing that left foot, which does propel the ball vast distances. Well, we're now really into the countdown. 2 minutes left. The two substitutes combined for Liverpool. Cosma's cross. Dazelle. Stockwell racing to the right. Dazelle taking Liverpool on. Goddard. Dazelle again. Kiwomya, that's out. And that, in an instant, really summed up the night for Chris Kiwomya.
It's been very frustrating for him, hasn't it? But the skills of Jason Dozell again shone through there, didn't they?
And the Trevor Brooking style as well.
Exactly.
Oh, Kiwomya got to it that time. Goddard. And then again, even allowing for the freshness of Rosenthal, was able to cope with that. Whitten looks to flick it on, Ipswich style. Here he is again. Goddard jogging into the centre, and Whitten trying to be a little ambitious with the pass rather than getting the ball into the box. Liverpool, the best way to end any anxiety is to get another goal. Forest, always nerve-wracking for goalkeepers now when they come out, but there's really no danger that Rosenthal was going to force him into a reckless challenge. But it's time that's on Liverpool's side, as well as the scoreline, after a mammoth tie here. I don't think the referee saw that. Here's McManaman.
It's just keep the ball time now for Liverpool, isn't it?
Marsh, they're almost there. But how hard they've had to work. Houghton. On this back off Stockwell, but for a corner. Well, Ipswich playing at Anfield for the 30th time. They still haven't won. But, well, it's been a really heroic attempt here.
Yeah, the one thing they did wrong, Mark, they just didn't manage to hold on to the lead long enough. Allowed Liverpool to hit back almost immediately, and that was the downfall.
1-0 it went to Liverpool with Ray Houghton, 1-1 with Gavin Johnson's great header. Then Jason Dazelle seemed to be sending the second division side into the last eight of the FA Cup. But then came Liverpool, vintage Liverpool. The reply was swift, it was decisive through Mulvey and Steve McManaman, and Liverpool are through to the quarter-finals. And it really has set up a most intriguing match against Aston Villa a week on Sunday, and if it's half as good as this one, it will be richly entertaining. Anfield remains unconquered by Ipswich, but they've shown what quality with John Walk at inspiration again. What quality John Lyall has at his disposal. And they will certainly, over the remainder of the season, have an extra injection of confidence for the second division, the way they performed here. But in the end, it's Liverpool's night. Let's get a reaction straight away from their manager, Graham Souness. He's with David Livingston.
Graham, you're through to the last 8. At what cost to your voice and your heart?
Well, I think it might have been good television, David, but certainly I don't think it's good for your health when it develops like that. We played a wee bit in the first half, I felt. Second half, Ipswich were better than us. And I felt an extra time we shaded it. It was exciting football. It's cup tie football. That's what cup tie football's about. We're delighted to be in the next round. I had players who had to go out there and grit their teeth tonight. 4 of them carrying injuries, and I've just got to be grateful we're through. Ipswich battled very hard and made life extremely difficult for us.
A touching moment there for you when John Walk went off.
Yeah, he's an old... I was going to swear at him. No, he done extremely well. He held them together at the back, both in the first game and in this game tonight. And he's well done.
And here he is. Well here he is, John. That was a nice moment when you come off. A nice handshake there. How emotional was it for you?
Oh, as I say, it was a good reaction from the Kop. You know, they gave us a good welcome, but I thought we were very unlucky tonight. And I thought we proved we're a good team.
What was the problem then when you went ahead? Why couldn't you hold it?
Just 2 good goals. 2 good goals out the blue, actually. But I thought it wasn't a free kick, the second goal, but that's beside the point.
Graham, when you went...
Talk all night about what should have been, what shouldn't have been. I would say that Ipswich came here in over 90 minutes certainly to get something from the game. The second half, they were better than us for most of the second half. If they can play like that, then they'll be in the first division next year. It's what John Lyall must do, and it's what he must do, is get his players playing with that spirit and that enthusiasm as they did tonight.
What about you in the quarter-finals against Aston Villa?
Well, maybe Ronnie, everyone, Phil, myself, our voices will be back by then. But we're delighted to get through tonight. That was a hard game for us.
John, the future for John Walk?
The future is, I hope we're in the first division. We hope against Liverpool next year.
Both of you, thanks very much. Thanks for a great game.
Fabulous. It's catching, isn't it? Graham Souness got a voice like me. Wonderful entertainment. Trust me, don't go away. We have got a terrific match coming up from Upton Park. West Ham and Sunderland. You won't want to miss that. Stay with us.